Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So we got to talk about Virginia because, and believe it or not, this is our very first Virginia video because, unfortunately, it does not look like we will be picking up Virginia, not picking up, but keeping Virginia red. That has always been considered a goal, is to kind of keep Virginia red. Unfortunately, it does not seem like we are going to do that. From the numerous sets of polls. However, I don't want to give people the excuse to throw in the towel. Look, it doesn't matter if we win or lose it. We have to do our best. There are two states this year that have elections, not to mention Pennsylvania, but those elections are really non-political and not really impacted to the nation at large, morally impactful towards Pennsylvania's state of law. So we got to be honest here. Virginia, New Jersey, that's all we got. Republicans can give a sigh of relief. They are not expected to win. Majority of Americans know this. Virginia is a state that has voted for Democrats for like 5 election cycles. So a lot of Americans have kind of concluded that, you know what, Virginia is a blue state. We know this because of the college universities. You have Washington, D.C. right up there, Arlington, Alexandria, and all those deep blue cities in Fairfax County. We have Richmond. And you have also the African American vote. It's going to be, and it's hard to win Virginia in other sense. Also, you have New Jersey, which registers to most Americans as a blue state. Also hasn't voted Republican since 1988. So most Americans do believe that this is going to be likely a win for Democrats. But Democrats, here's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to take a victory lap over this. And I'm telling you, it's not going to work because most Americans know that these are blue states, right? These are blue Democrat states. So I'm going to encourage subscribers, if it comes to worst case scenario, do not give the Democrats what they want, because they are trying to put you into a trap. They want you to mourn and groan and saying, "Oh, we lost the election! We lost! The GOP is done!" Even though we're not going to give Republicans the crow they want to eat, because let's be honest, these are 2 blue states that voted for Kamala Harris by over 5 percentage points. Let's be honest, the state of disarray caused by Democrats in this country, Americans came out at mass to change it, and these 2 states voted against the change by over 5 percentage points. Okay, so there's not really enough of the expectations. The expectation for Republicans are low this year. Said this at the beginning of the year in January. Republicans have low expectations this year. Republicans expect to drop the ball this year. These are 2 blue states. But you have Gavin Newsom coming out, and he's going to put something on the ballot for Republicans to win. A redistricting ballot measure that is very unpopular in this state, even amongst progressive groups. You have Kevin McCarthy, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the California GOP capitalizing on this. And you have tons, majority of polls are saying this is not looking good for Gavin Newsom. So if Gavin Newsom wants to put this on the ballot to give Republicans something to win, we'd appreciate it. Okay, Greasy Gavin, you can do it. You're helping the GOP out by giving us something to win that would boost our morale, because there's nothing better than getting 5 free seats and to have Democrats not follow through with their threats. That's nothing that makes us more happier. If Democrats are happy with Virginia, we're happy with our district map. That's how it goes. But even with Virginia, it looks like the race in Virginia has kind of shaped up a bit, because we have been noticing a couple trends. We have been updating the community tab quite a while, and we have noticed a surge amongst Winsome Earle-Sears. And you could see in the polls that, Spanberger's leading by like 8 in the said registration. And we can actually compare 2021 also. But we have noticed that the Spanberger campaign's dropping the ball lately. Just recently, the Spanberger campaign was caught in a hot water moment that does not make them look good, especially amongst their African-American supporters, that allegedly released paraphernalia or possibly I don't know if I'm not accusing of Spamberger campaign, but the Earle-Sears campaign is accusing of Spamberger of promoting racially charged paraphernalia aimed at her. Now, the comments directed at Earle-Sears are allegedly coming from the trans community. They are bashing Earle-Sears for her beliefs that, men can't be in women's bathrooms. And the statement is that, hey, the quote says, if we can't be in your bathroom, then black people can't drink from our water fountain. This is the quote that has been found on multiple posters at campaign rallies led by Earle-Sears and not Earle-Sears, but led by Abigail Spamberger and the trans community. And just recently, it has circulated across the state of Virginia, becoming a major issue. And the Democrats had to talk about it. They had to come out and apologize to Earle-Sears. They had to condemn it. So this is big. Now, we know it's big because if it wasn't big, okay, let's see if I can pull up so I know this is going to be a legitimate source. Condemn. Okay, so yes. So this is obviously racist sign targeting Republican Virginia gubernatorial race. And obviously, I don't care about race issues. And I'm sure Earle-Sears can care less about it either. But this is important because Democrats are coming out as hypocrites, okay? And it's also the way they're reacting to it. Now, obviously, Democrats have to react to it because if they don't react to it, then that's going to hurt them. They're going to be called out as hypocritical, especially as this has circulated to a big issue in Virginia. Now, this is kind of hard to kind of explain. It's allegedly there were multiple signs of this found at Spamberger rallies. And this is ticking off the African-American base. And I'm for sure the base at Spamberger needs the African-American base. Now, I do think the very left-wing African-American base, they do care, but they're not going to turn around and vote for Sears out of sympathy. They're not going to do that. They're biased. They're more pro-left than they are pro-black. Let's be honest with that. But they will call off the crow of Spamberger and her campaign. They'll call her out for hypocrisy, and they're probably going to sit out. They could probably back another third-party candidate. What probably happen. But what I'm telling you, the very left-wing African-American base, they will not back Winsome Earle-Sears. They will see her as a pawn for Trump. This is just legitimately the way that common sense-wise how it's going to go. But yeah, so we do know that, this is big because if this wasn't big, if this was just one woman, as the liberal media here suggests this picture, says, hey, Winsome, if trans can't share your bathroom, then blacks can't share my water fountain. Okay, so we do know that if it was just this woman right here, which has gotten viral, these Virginia leaders wouldn't care, okay? But the liberal media, they're trying to make it look like it was just this woman. Even though that if it was just this woman, then, Democrats would ignore it, right? Democrats would legitimately ignore it. It's just this woman, it's just her son. But they all came out and said, hey, this is wrong. We condemn this. Which suggests that, you know what? There's probably more people involved in this, or if not, Abigail Spamberger promoting this also. And I'll remind you again, I can care less about accusations of racism. Let me be honest. Okay, if you are undergoing racism, let's be honest, I condemn it, but it's not our responsibility to run to your aid, okay? It's not our responsibility to run to your aid and cover. And that's not why I'm trying to cover the story. I'm covering the hypocrisy because we're seeing this. We're seeing MSNBC, CNN, they're either trying to cover up for Democrats when it comes to sharing the story. If not that, they're going to pretend it never happened. Okay, so if the shoe's on the other foot in this situation, Democrats would nonstop be talking about this. They would call the let's just say this was more of Shirelli, right? If this was Ciattarelli campaigning against, let's just say, Ross Baraka got the nominee in New Jersey, and a supporter came out and did a derogatory poster, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, they would be talking about this nonstop. Where is MSNBC and CNN and all these bullish networks when it comes to this woman flying a trans flag off her posters? Or, you see? Where is that? Now, a lot of people will ask me, well, do you think this is actually going to make an impact to the race? And I'm going to come and be quite honest with you. I don't think it's going to make an impact. Why am I saying that? Because, let's be honest, Virginia, we got Democrats, they're just bloated by us. They'll take this. You say, prove me something, give me a source that my party is racist, and we'll throw this. They'll throw it to the ground and say, that's not good enough. No, it doesn't matter. The black Democrats, some of them will vote for Abigail Spanberger despite this. Others may throw a fit about this, make it angry, and give Spanberger some problems and not vote. But they'll continue to be left-wing progressive and argue that the left is not racist. Even though for certainly you got some left-wing lunatics like this white-haired retired liberal who looks like she should be in a nursing home, suggest flying a derogatory sign and expecting that she should get no consequences. And I don't think she should. I mean, it's freedom of speech, let's be honest. And we're not going to promote censorship. But hey, if conservatives are getting censored for flying this stuff and stuff that could be seen as derogatory and being punished for this, then why should this liberal walk away free? If this is what the Democrats want to live in, this sort of world, this is what they want to play. They want to play rules for thee, not for me. They want cake to eat it too, and they are obviously not going to do that. They want cake and eat it too, and they want rules for thee, but not for me, and that's obviously very, very concerning. But honestly, we're going to go ahead and continue. But I want to talk about this because this has made major news in the Virginia governor's race. And some people will say this is why Winsome Earle-Sears is surging, and I am saying no, because this is just a minor on the side deal. Maybe you will have, I don't even think it would make somewhat of a deal. If this is actually going to happen, we're going to have to see it in election day. But I doubt this is actually going to have much of an impact. But I think how this is going to go is we're near ending summer response bias. Everyone's going back to work. Everyone's going back to school. We're getting closer to the election. And my expectation is Winsome Earle-Sears should surge. Well, we can actually compare this to the 2021 race, where you saw somewhat of a similar polling here, although it was somewhat kind of different. Let's be honest. We can go ahead and look at this here. Glenn Youngkin. You got quite a few. Let's see. Now, the polls could look somewhat. You got actually some polls coming out specifically near this time. Now, let's be honest. Glenn Youngkin is doing much better than compared to Winsome Earle-Sears. Why? Well, part of the reason is Democrats are the party of power in Virginia. Democrats are also the party in power in Washington, right? In D.C., the United States. You have Joe Biden, and his COVID-19 policy is pretty unpopular. So that's part of the reason why Glenn Youngkin's doing a bit better than Winsome Earle-Sears. Compared to now, Democrats are the party of change right now. Glenn Youngkin, he is pretty popular. However, a lot of liberals, insane, stupid liberals, they're not happy what they're seeing in Washington. So the Trump deranged liberals could deliver a Spamberger victory, being quite honest. But Winsome Earle-Sears is also pretty popular in the state of Virginia, although she's struggling with generating momentum in the MAGA base. I'm expecting, and I don't want to get people's hopes up, but I'm expecting that Earle-Sears is going to turn out some independents. That's kind of a crazy thing to think of, especially when you got Abigail Spanberger running. She's the candidate of change, right? Now, I think, honestly, the independents are going to sway Spanberger's direction because she is the candidate of change. Winsome Earle-Sears is the de facto incumbent. But Winsome Earle-Sears is going to appeal to those more moderates, as Abigail Spanberger has a record to defend in Congress. So there will be a debate. Couple debates are usually our debates. It really is up to the two candidates. But really, you look at the endorsements, and it's not so much a huge and whopping advantage for Winsome Earle-Sears. For Abigail Spanberger. I don't know why I keep getting them mixed up. You would expect Abigail Spanberger to have a whopping advantage. Winsome Earle-Sears, maybe she has more, but she has relatively a lot of endorsements for what a lot of people are calling her campaign a failing campaign, quote, quote. Like State Navigate is suggesting that this is going to be a solid Democrat flip. I am not saying at all this is going to be a solid Democrat flip. Let's be honest, guys. Listen, this is not going to be a solid Democrat flip, but this could be a likely Democrat flip. I'm not going to downplay that. It could be a leaning Democrat flip, and that's kind of what I'm predicting it's going to be like. I'm kind of aligned with Cook Political Report. I'm not going to be biased and say, it's going to be the best case scenario for Republicans, because I don't feel that's going to be the case. But let's see how the next months go. October, September. Those are months you need to look at when it comes to this governor's race. And yes, I do want to continue to look at, I've explained why, today is the 24th of August. So what was the latest poll in the 24th of August? Okay. And yeah, you have some polls from Fox News suggesting, Fox News is a bad poll source. 52% for Terry McAuliffe and 42% or 41% for Youngkin. This is what Fox News said in October. So I'm going to look for August 24th. Yes, here we go. You got a Monmouth University dropped a few. So for all three for Terry McAuliffe, who is leading this race, by the way, 47% for Terry McAuliffe. One poll, including 802 residents. 47% for McAuliffe. 47%, another one, 47% for McAuliffe, including the same, and 49% for McAuliffe. The first being a margin of relatively probably 5. The second, more of a margin of 3. And you got a much wider margin, probably a margin of 6 or 7. But you'll notice here, so they're all McAuliffe wins despite the controversy. And I do think that these Virginia polls in the state level, they do overestimate Democrats. They do. And Virginia is a state that tends to do that a lot. Like Red Eagle said in his video in Virginia, the Virginians tend to vote Democrat in the federal level. Presidential election, Senate election. Those are federal races. The state level is much more conservative. And they're kind of like North Carolina in that way. Like, they're a southern neighbor, really. Where North Carolina gives Democrats some wins in the state level. And the federal level, they all elect Republicans abroad. So you could be up to a surprise for Election Day. I want to see it. And I want to continue to go and look at these. I want to go and pay a visit to my channel, North Star Elections, where we can actually go and see the previous posts we did this past week, where we updated the average, where you could say, in my view, we saw a couple surges. Currently in the average, Spanberger is defeating Earle-Sears by over a few points. It's going to look expected to look like the Senate race this past year, with Hung Kao and Tim Kaine. So it's expected to look sort of something like that. But who knows? We could see somewhat of a change. And recently, you got in the lieutenant governor. Yeah, you got Hashmi and Reed, okay? Now, the lieutenant governor race is quite interesting because now I was not happy. I was really hoping Hung Kao would run for lieutenant governor, but he didn't. You got this guy named John Reed. John Reed was caught with a sex scandal, where we don't know how that's going to affect him. But the good news is you got a far-left lunatic, Ghazala Hashmi, running for Virginia. Just like Zohra Mamdani, she is an Indian socialist that's really and she's also a Muslim. That doesn't matter. I don't care if she's Muslim or not. I don't care if she's Indian. But you watch that debate. She is the only female, although she was running against a bunch of other socialists. And this explains why she's at 38% of support. I'm just telling you, these positions are pretty unpopular. Yeah, Hashmi only getting 27% in the primary. Like, we reviewed this primary 2 months ago, and it was brutal results. You just saw a divided Democratic Party in general. You got Levar Stoney. He's also a far leftist. You got Aaron Roos. You got also Babur Latif, Alex Bastani, and Victor Salgado. They're all far leftists. You take a look at that debate from ABC that took place on May 22nd. Good debate, but far left all the way. And I'm just saying, this is why you got a bunch of far leftists fighting against each other, and you get a competitive circus right here, and this is what you get. And I guarantee you, thank goodness for Virginians, they don't have to vote again in the primary. If this was a runoff system, for sure, there would have been a second round, but Virginia doesn't do runoffs. So I am optimistic that, you know what? Hey, I mean, John Reed has his problems. He's not the perfect candidate. I was hoping someone would challenge him, but Ghazala Hashmi is going to make it a lot easier for him. You're actually seeing good results coming from here, and we could possibly see something. We actually can see something happen, a little miracle. But I do expect Hashmi to win. In 2020, in the Attorney General race, you'll see that a lot of people are hoping that Jason Miyares will actually pull off a win against Jay Jones, who is, of course, who is Jay Jones? Yeah, he's a part of the House. And we did predict much of a closer race, actually. And we did have Mr. Miyares back a lot, because there were indications that he was underwater. Like, there were some polls that suggested that Miyares was in the 20%. So we weren't going to downplay this, but we have decided that, you know what, these polls are likely not true. This was back in 2022. He's likely reemerged. So we have come to say that, okay, we're going to go by with our gut feeling and say that, okay, he's going to pull out a 48%. That's probably the best scenario. And you'll see the race is much different compared to the other results. We have Montgomery County. We actually get, this is not Montgomery, but we have the St. Edward County, or something like that. We got Surrey County going for Miyares this time, even though Surrey went to his opponent 4 years ago. That's county. But we do feel that it did vote for Trump. And depending on who they're going to come out and turn out, and who's coming out and turning out in that race, hey, there could be somewhat of a chance there. But I am hopeful. I still think we should need to continue to put investments in this race. Along with the New Jersey race, and looking at the opportunities here. New Jersey, we're going to hopefully pull something off there. Shirelli is running a very good and compatible campaign. I'm hoping that he is going to overperform his performance in 21 4 years ago. And yeah, we're nearing the end of August. We have September, we have October, and we have these, and then finally beginning of November, and we have these elections. Worst thing that happens is, hey, we lose these races. But then again, like I've said this whole entire time now, that, this isn't Republicans' year. It's not meant to be the Republicans' year, 2025. Like 2017 wasn't the Republicans' year. You got two blue states. And I wouldn't worry about the public. The Democrats will do their partying. They'll drink their margaritas, and they'll get drunk with illegal immigrants like they always love to do, and celebrate these huge wins. They'll say it's going to be a blue wave, a landslide, and you'll see James Carville take a victory lap. That's going to happen, I'm going to promise you, if worst comes to worst. But it's not our business to go and moan and groan. No. We have a responsibility as a political party to do the best we can. And if this is the best we can, hey, we may be disappointed and we could have done better. But when it comes to these said elections, but you know what? The good news is we finally go full steam ahead for these midterms. We can be satisfied with our wins in the congressional maps. Texas, you got maps being certified in Ohio. That will be happening. And hey, if Gavin Newsom seriously gives Republicans something to win, and that Republicans pull this off in California, I will say, make an argument, that this is a good year for Republicans. If Shirelli overperforms his margin, and it turns out to be a razor sharp race, a tight race in New Jersey, and we end up losing it, I would say, you know what? I feel good of what we got in New Jersey. If Winsome Earle-Sears overperforms the polling expectations and loses still, hey, I'm going to say we did good. So, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.